I bought my wife a used car with my bonus so she could visit her mother more often. When she saw it, she laughed and said, "Didn't know bonuses came with embarrassment packages." Then she tossed me the keys and said, "Take it back, you drive it. It matches your face." I just smiled. This morning, my wife called 32 times begging me to undo what I did. Throwaway because my wife follows my main. Yeah, it's that kind of situation now. Look, I'm not the kind of guy who usually posts his problems online, but I'm sitting here at 3:47 a.m. Can't sleep? Scrolling through 32 missed calls on my phone and figured maybe typing this out might help me process what the actual hell happened in my marriage this week. For context, been married to Madison for 8 years. Both of us 30-something, no kids, thank God right now. We've had our ups and downs like anyone, but nothing major. At least that's what I thought. Here's the thing. Madison's mom lives about 40 miles out in the countryside. Nice lady, been having health issues lately. Nothing critical, but enough that Madison's been wanting to visit more often. Problem was, we've been a one-car household since her old beater died last year. My ride is nothing fancy, just gets me to work and back, but we've been making it work with me dropping her places when needed. For months now, she's been complaining about having to borrow her friend's car or coordinate with my schedule whenever she wants to see her mom. Fair enough. Independence matters. I get it. So when I got my first bonus in 5 years, $5,800, not life-changing, but definitely nice, I thought, perfect timing. Side note, this bonus meant a lot to me. Been busting my ass at this place for years. Never got recognized until now. I spent 2 weeks researching reliable used cars under 5 grand. Checked out 11 different options. Asked my buddy who knows cars to come with me. Test drove 8 of them. Finally found this 2014 sedan with only 78,000 miles for $4,200. Clean title, good tires, just had the timing belt done. Perfect commuter car for Madison to visit her mom whenever she wanted. Last Saturday morning, 10:15 a.m., I remember checking my watch. I pulled into our driveway with her new car, texted her to come outside for a surprise. Our neighbor Atlas was washing his truck across the street. Perfect timing. Someone to witness my grand gesture, right? Stupid, stupid, stupid. Madison comes out still in her pajamas, hair messy, coffee mug in hand. I'm standing there with the biggest grin, holding out the keys. Her reaction? She looks at the car, looks at me, looks at the car again. Then she laughs. Not a happy laugh. That kind of laugh that makes your stomach drop. Madison told me she didn't know bonuses came with embarrassment packages. Said it looked like something a college kid would drive after wrecking their actual car. Then she tossed the keys back at me and said I should keep it since it matched my face. All this while, Atlas is pretending not to listen from across the street. I just stood there, smiled, said okay, took the keys, went inside. Didn't say another word. That night, while Madison was scrolling through her phone ignoring me, I started thinking about our finances. Really thinking. For the first time in years. We make roughly the same amount of money, but somehow I'm paying 80% of our bills. Our joint account gets most of my paycheck while hers, well, where does it go? So I did something I should have done ages ago. Checked our financials. All of them. Madison's been hiding 3 credit cards from maxed out, spending on crap we don't need, latest phone upgrades, designer stuff, $200 hair appointments. Meanwhile, I'm wearing the same 5 shirts in rotation that I've had since 2018. I also found her secret savings account, $2,700 that should have been going toward our joint expenses. I made a list of everything I discovered. 3 hidden credit cards, total balance, $11,400, secret savings account, shopping habit that explained why she couldn't contribute equally, multiple subscriptions to premium services I didn't even know existed, regular transfers to her sister, who apparently has been borrowing money. While making this list at midnight, I realized something else. Madison hasn't thanked me for anything in years. Not for covering most expenses, not for driving her everywhere, not for listening to her complain about wanting to visit her mom more while I've been skipping lunches to save for our future. Sunday morning, I woke up early. Madison was still asleep. She always sleeps in. I made a decision right then. I transferred my portion of next month's bills to our joint account. Then I took every remaining dollar from my personal account and opened a new one at a different bank. Changed all my direct deposits. Called to freeze the joint credit card. Monday morning, 7:32 a.m. I left for work early. Madison was still sleeping. Before leaving, I placed the car keys and title, already signed over to her, on the kitchen counter with a note. It's paid for. Insurance covered for 6 months. Registration done. All yours whether you want it or not. Then, I blocked her number, just for 8 hours while I figured things out. By lunch, I'd contacted a financial advisor to help untangle our finances. By afternoon break, I'd documented every financial contribution I'd made over the past 2 years. By end of day, I'd updated my direct deposit information so my next paycheck wouldn't go to our joint account. When I got home, Madison acted like nothing happened. Car keys still on the counter. She asked what was for dinner like it was any other day. I smiled, said I wasn't hungry, went to the basement where I've been sleeping since. This morning at 6 a.m., I left for work in my car. By 10:27 a.m., my phone started blowing up. Madison calling nonstop. Her first voicemail was angry. Something about the credit card being declined while shopping. Second one confused. Third one panicked. It's now been 14 hours since her first call. 32 missed calls, 47 text messages, 8 voicemail, each one more desperate than the last. The last one just came in 5 minutes ago. Richard, please. I don't understand what's happening. All our accounts are empty. The credit cards aren't working. What did you do? Please call me back. What did I do? I simply stopped being her ATM. The car she laughed at is still parked in our driveway. I washed and waxed it yesterday. Looks pretty good, actually. Tomorrow I'm meeting with someone to discuss my option. Not sure what happens next, but for the first time in years, I feel like I'm in control of my own life. My mom raised me alone on minimum wage and taught me 2 things. Work hard for what you have and never let anyone treat you like you're nothing. Took me 8 years to remember the second part. Update 1. First, holy crap. Didn't expect my original post to blow up like that. RIP my inbox. Thanks for all the awards and support, seriously. So many of you asked for an update, and well, there's definitely been development. It's been exactly 9 days since everything went down. 9 days of Madison cycling between rage texting me, cold shouldering me around the house, and making these weird attempts at acting normal like nothing happened. The emotional whiplash is exhausting. Look, I'll admit something. There's been moments where I've almost caved. Like yesterday morning when she made coffee and left a cup on the counter for me. First thoughtful thing she's done in months. For about 30 seconds, I considered just letting everything go back to normal. Then I remembered her laugh in our driveway, the one that made Atlas awkwardly retreat into his garage mid-car wash, the one that keeps replaying in my head at 2 a.m. Here's what's gone down since my last post. The day after I left that financial folder on the desk, the one documenting all her hidden spending, Madison finally cornered me in the kitchen. She was doing that thing where she tries to make me feel crazy. Told me I was overreacting about a stupid car comment and that couples share finances. And I was being controlling by tracking her spending like a creep. Said the credit cards were for emergencies, and I was financially abusing her by cutting her off. I just nodded, finished making my sandwich, and went back to the basement. This apparently was not the reaction she expected. Later found out she'd called her best friend Neve immediately after. How do I know? Because Neve showed up at our door the next evening while Madison was at her yoga class, looking all concerned and ready to give me a piece of her mind. That conversation was enlightening. Neve started in about how I was being selfish and controlling. Then, I simply handed her my phone, with the screenshots of Madison's last 6 months of spending. Watched her face change as she scrolled through. Hair appointments, $1,675. Clothing, $3,240. Restaurants, just her solo lunches, $890. Gifts for herself, $2,130. Regular transfers to her sister, $2,400. Payments towards secret credit cards, $4,750, all while contributing exactly $650 per month to our joint bills. That's less than half of just our mortgage. When Navai handed my phone back, she looked genuinely shocked. Turns out Madison had been telling everyone I was a controlling cheapskate who monitored every penny she spent. The reality, I hadn't been paying attention at all. That was the actual problem. The most interesting part? Navai hesitated, then told me about the girls' trip to Miami they've been planning for next month. 4 days, beach resort, the works. Estimated cost per person, $3,200. Madison had already put down a non-refundable deposit of $800 from our joint savings, naturally. Navai left looking confused and uncomfortable. Haven't heard from her since. Madison hasn't mentioned her either. Interesting. 2 days ago, I called Madison's mom. We've always gotten along well, and I wanted to check how she was actually doing health-wise. Madison's been using her mom's condition as justification for a lot lately, including why she needs to visit more often, thus the car. Her mom sounded completely fine, better than fine. She was about to leave for a 6-week cruise with her boyfriend. She hadn't seen Madison in almost 2 months, and Madison certainly hadn't mentioned any plans to visit more frequently. When I casually mentioned the car situation, her mother got quiet. Then she asked me some pointed questions about our finances. Turns out Madison had been telling her mother that we were struggling financially because of my spending habit, that I had gambling issues, that I was the reason they didn't see each other more often. None of this is true. Not a single word. When I hung up with her mom, I made my decision. I'd been waffling about how far to take this, but that sealed it. I spent the evening preparing what I'm calling the reckoning. Yesterday morning, I woke up early, made coffee, set up my laptop at the kitchen table. When Madison came down, 11:30 a.m., of course, I calmly asked her to sit down. I had prepared a spreadsheet, a beautiful, color-coded masterpiece breaking down our actual incomes, nearly identical, our actual contributions to bills, me, 82%, her, 18%, hidden credit card debts, all hers, secret savings account, all hers, estimated monthly required contribution for her to pay her fair share. I slid it across the table and told her this was the new arrangement, starting immediately. Her portion came to $2,450 per month, which I know she can easily afford based on her income, if she cuts out the nonsense spending. Madison stared at the paper, then at me, then laughed again. That same dismissive laugh from the driveway. Said I was bluffing. Said I'd never actually go through with any of this because I needed her more than she needed me. Then she grabbed her purse and left for another yoga class. I just smiled and finished my coffee. This morning at 6 a.m., I left for work as usual, but not before completing the final phase of my plan. Removed Madison as an authorized user on all remaining credit cards, transferred my portion of this month's mortgage to our joint account, and only my portion, canceled all automatic payments for her personal bills from our joint account, changed all passwords to our shared Audiez streaming services, left printouts of her upcoming bills on the table with her portion highlighted. The car she mocked is still sitting in our driveway. I've been washing it weekly, even put one of those little pine tree air fresheners in it. Our neighbor Atlas stopped by yesterday while I was waxing it and mentioned it looked like a solid, reliable car. I just nodded and said it gets great gas mileage. As I'm typing this update, my phone is blowing up again. Madison's first card payment was due today. The automatic payment didn't go through. Neither did her phone bill, or her gym membership, or her subscription beauty box. The first text just said, WTF, Richard. The fifth one was, this isn't funny anymore. The 12th was, how am I supposed to pay all these by myself? I haven't responded to any of them. Look, I'm not trying to be cruel here. I'm not even asking for a divorce, yet. I'm just done being taken advantage of by someone who clearly doesn't respect me, my hard work, or my attempts to do something nice for her. The car keys are still on the counter where I left them 9 days ago, untouched. I'm heading home in about an hour. My mom's coming over for dinner. Just her and me. Madison doesn't know yet. Should be an interesting evening when she comes home from wherever she actually goes during yoga, to find my mom and me having dinner without her. We'll update again when there's more to share. Right now, I'm just watching everything unfold, one declined payment notification at a time. Finally update. It's been 3 weeks since my last update. Wasn't planning to post again, but my notifications are still blowing up, with DMs asking what happened. Figured I owe you all some closure. So here goes. Remember those 32 missed calls I mentioned in my first post? That was just the beginning. My phone's call history now looks like someone sat on the redial button. 147 calls in 21 days. Not counting texts, not counting the voicemails that started angry, turned desperate, then became tearful, and finally circled back to angry again. The morning after my mom came for dinner, awkward AF, BDW, I woke up to find Madison sitting at the kitchen table at 5:03 a.m., just sitting there in the dark. Nearly gave me a heart attack when I flipped on the light. Her eyes were puffy, hair unwashed, still wearing yesterday's clothes. The spreadsheet I'd made detailing our finances was on the table, now covered in her handwriting. Numbers circled, question marks everywhere, coffee mug rings staining the paper. For a second, just a second, I felt bad for her. Then she opened her mouth. She started with how embarrassed she was when her card got declined buying coffee with friends. How humiliating it was having to ask Navai to cover her lunch. How she had to cancel her hair appointment because she couldn't pay. Then she switched to how controlling I was being, how I was manipulating her, how normal couples don't keep score with money. I just stood there, making my breakfast while she talked, poured my coffee, toasted my bread, spread some peanut butter. Normal morning routine while my wife had what appeared to be a mental breakdown over having to pay her own bills. Look, I'm not a monster. I asked her one simple question. Had she ever considered how I felt standing in our driveway while she laughed at a gift I'd spent weeks choosing? She didn't have an answer, just stared at me. That's when the doorbell rang. At 5:47 a.m. Who shows up before 6 a.m.? Madison's mother. Turns out, Madison had called her mom at 2 a.m. having a meltdown about me cutting her off financially. Her mom canceled her morning flight, first leg of that 6-week cruise I mentioned, and drove straight to our house. 4 hours on the road to handle whatever emergency her daughter was experiencing. What happened next was unexpected. Madison's mom walked in, took one look at her daughter, then at me making breakfast and asked what the hell was going on. Madison launched into her version: evil husband, financial abuse, controlling behavior, etc. Her mom listened quietly, then asked to see the financial documents I'd prepared. I handed over my laptop with all the spreadsheets, screenshots, bank statements, the works. Madison's mom spent 43 minutes, yes, I timed it, reading through everything while Madison and I sat in uncomfortable silence. Then her mom did something I never expected. She turned to Madison and said, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's pretty close: I didn't raise you to be this person. This man has been supporting you while you lie and hide money. You're 33 years old. Grow up. Madison started crying. Her mom didn't budge, just asked to see the car that started all this. The three of us walked out to the driveway where the sedan was still parked, now with a layer of morning dew on it. Her mom walked around it, checking it out, asked about the mileage, the maintenance history, nodded approvingly. Then she turned to Madison and told her she'd be lucky to have a reliable car like this. Said her own first car had been a 15-year-old station wagon with no AC that her father had scraped together money to buy her. Madison's face during this whole conversation was priceless, like she'd been expecting backup and got a reality check instead. Her mom left an hour later saying she had a cruise to catch, hugged me goodbye, told Madison to call her when she'd gotten her priorities straight. The next few days were strangely quiet. Madison mostly stayed in our bedroom. I kept to the basement. Occasionally, we'd pass in the hallway or kitchen with mumbled hellos. The distance felt both uncomfortable and necessary. Then last Monday, I came home to find Madison actually cleaning. Not just tidying, deep cleaning. The kind we usually hire someone to do twice a month. The bathroom grout had been scrubbed, kitchen cabinets wiped down. Even the baseboards were dust-free. On the counter was a stack of papers, her credit card statements. All 3 cards, with payment plans written out in her handwriting. A budget worksheet she'd printed from some financial planning website. A checking account statement from her bank showing she'd emptied her secret savings to pay down the highest interest card. Next to that was a handwritten list titled Current Monthly Expenses, with items like credit card minimum payments, $437, phone bill, $112, hair appointment, $200, reduced from $400, mom's birthday gift, $75, gym membership, $89, monthly bills, contribution, $2,450. The last item, her fair share of our household expenses, was circled. Below it, she'd written, I can do this. I didn't say anything about it, neither did she. But the next day, $2,450 appeared in our joint account. First time in years she'd contributed her full share without me asking. That evening, I found Madison sitting in the driveway, in the car, just sitting there with her hands on the steering wheel, staring ahead. When I approached, she rolled down the window, said the car was actually pretty nice inside, asked if I would show her how to connect her phone to the Bluetooth, said maybe she'd drive it to work tomorrow, see how it handles. We spent 20 minutes going over the car's features. The backup camera, the surprisingly decent sound system, the trunk space. All very normal, practical conversation. No sarcasm, no eye-rolling. Before I went back inside, Madison said something that caught me off guard. She said she'd looked up the car's value online, said it was actually a good deal for the mileage and condition, said she'd been an ungrateful bitch. Her words, not mine. That was 12 days ago. Since then, Madison has driven the car every day. She's contributed to groceries without being asked. The Miami trip has been canceled. Her friends were understanding. She got a refund on some online shopping she hadn't opened yet. She's called her mom twice to check in. Actually, check in, not ask for money. She's been getting up before 9 a.m. on weekends. Last night, I moved my stuff back upstairs from the basement. Not because everything is magically fixed, but because sleeping on that futon was killing my back, and we're both adults who can share a bed while working through issues. This morning over coffee, Madison asked if I wanted to go to couples counseling, said she'd already found someone covered by our insurance, said she'd make the appointment and drive us there in her car. I said yes. Look, I don't know if our marriage is going to make it long-term. 8 years of financial imbalance and disrespect don't disappear overnight because someone's credit cards got declined. We've got a lot to work through. But yesterday, I came home to find Madison had washed and waxed her car, put one of those little phone holder clips on the vent, added a small plant hanging from the rearview mirror, little touches that said, "This is mine and I'm keeping it." Sometimes the best revenge isn't some dramatic showdown. It's just watching someone finally face reality when the safety net gets pulled away. Our neighbor Atlas stopped by while I was getting the mail yesterday, said Madison had asked him for recommendations on where to get an oil change, said he was glad to see us working things out. I just nodded and said we're taking it one day at a time. My mom called this morning to check in, told me she was proud of how I handled things, said my dad, who left when I was 4, could have learned something from me about standing up for himself without being cruel. That hit me harder than I expected. So that's where things stand. Not a fairy tale ending, not a dramatic divorce. Just two flawed people trying to figure out if there's anything worth saving after the dust settles. The car that started all this drama, it's still in our driveway. But now it has a name. Madison calls it Reality Check. Seems fitting.